Well, greetings everyone. Just thought I'd put another video out there about the loop, um, and some YouTube channels that have information in regards to it. Uh, a couple of these channels, Technomadia, What Yacht to Do. I know for a fact that both of these have done uh, in-depth reviews on what it costs them to do what they've done. Uh, what Yacht to Do is breaks it up. They try to do it about every 1,000 miles. It's cost them to do so far. They're doing it in a 50-foot carver. Technomedia is doing it, and I believe it's a 4788 is I believe what they're running. That means it's I believe the 4788. It's a 47-foot bayliner. Uh, Captain Kurt's doing his on a sailboat, I do believe. Um, he's got 24 issues out right now. Most of it looks like it was done last year. Sabbatical did a big one. Exactly what they've done on all their videos, I'm not 100% sure on. But you'll get a pretty good idea of what you'll see on the loop, what to expect, things along those lines. And then Navionics has a webinar. If you don't know, Navionics is a company that does navigation software, apps for your phone, uh, tablets, uh, and I believe uh, some chart plotters actually run their software. I'm not 100% on that. But they've got an hour seminar telling you about how to prepare for the loop, uh, how to plan your cruise before you even leave the house, uh, on different ways of going about things. Something else I've looked at was I crunched some did some web searching. Uh, Rough way to look at things uh, is on fuel efficiency. We'll just do this real quick. Uh, you got a lot of different ways of going through that. You can get this one here. You can pull it up by what motor you have. I actually found earlier today on a separate website that actually had it broke down by types of boats also. So the amount of horsepower your boat has is going to be a deciding factor. If your boat is underpowered, then it's going to have to work harder to do the same thing. But most of the ones I was reading on were on sailboats, and you're looking at about a little over a gallon an hour burn with a 40 horsepower diesel on a sailboat. But all boats, no matter what type, the lower the RPMs on your motor, so therefore the slower speeds you're going to be going, the better fuel efficiency you're going to have. And that can be a very large change where you could go from burning 20, 30 gallons in oh a go fast boat of some type that has accommodations for you, um, a displacement boat, but you're running maybe 20, 30 knots or more, um, to my understanding, majority of your way around, other than like the Chesapeake Bay, the Great Lakes, and some other areas, you're going to be running through a lot of no wake zones. So you're not going to be able to go that fast all the time. But that boat that's doing those kind of speeds, yeah, they're doing 20, 30 knots, maybe more for that 20 gallon an hour burn. But if they had dropped down to about 10 knots, chances are they would have gone down to maybe a 5 or 10 gallon an hour burn, significantly changing the amount of fuel they use to cover the same distance. It will take them, of course, longer to cover that distance. But like I've said in a previous video, it's more about the trip and what you're seeing and things like that. Of course, there's going to be some areas like the Tennessee Tom Park waterway and some other areas where it's going to be like driving across the breadbasket of the U.S. through here, where it's a lot of flat, semi-flat ground, open fields, and not really a whole lot to look at. But I like the relaxing side of doing this kind of a cruise. So look at those kind of things while you're going through stuff. I did these because I know, like I said, Technomadia and What Yacht to do full breakdowns, what it's costing them at marinas, maintenance on their boats, how much fuel they bought, their extracurricular activities that they went out and did on tours. They completely break down their expenses on their trips. I am still mainly leaning more towards a sailboat for my trip. One that I think they'd be a little bit more fuel efficient, but after my trip, it's what I want to do more, is do a lot of sailing around the southeast of the U.S., Caribbean, Bahamas, get it out of the weather issues. But I'm going to be living aboard the boat for a while unless some other things change around. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now. And you can easily do this on a sailboat, like I've stated in other videos, with just demasting the boat's way I would go, instead of demasting it here, going down just a little ways and redoing it, just because of the amount of bridges and things you'd have to wait to open if you have a mast on your boat. There are, like I said, your water draft and your air draft matter. You're going to want to look at those kind of things. So you're kind of limiting yourself on a sailboat, and also limiting my sailboat choices is I'm going to be living aboard it for at least a year after my trip, the way I'm seeing things right now. So I want a full galley instead of just like a 2-burner hop, full refrigeration instead of just a nice chest, a full head with a shower, even if it's a wet head, it doesn't matter that much, but it's going to be a full bathroom. During the loop, I'm figuring on only doing marinas every couple days or so. If I can't anchor out or do a mooring ball and go sightseeing with the dinghy, i.e. mooring out and then taking the dinghy up to some place to get out and tour the city. The aspect of that is in some ways it will be cheaper, but also more to the point. The main reason I'm looking at that is staying at marinas all the time. I like my peace and quiet. And some of the marinas, depending on where you're at, can get rowdy. There's always a lot more activity at the marinas. I am planning on doing most of the get-togethers if I'm in the area, but I like the being out in the nature, watching the animals, the birds, things like that. So you're not going to see quite as much of that when you're in an actual marina. Uh, that's just the way I view my views on it. The overall picture of it, we'll see how it goes. But I am looking at mid 30s to lower 40s on the boat length just because of the marina costs. I don't want to use up a lot of my marina cost, I mean, a lot of my extra funds paying for a bigger boat in a marina all the time. Uh, but at the same time, you get much under 30 feet in boat length, you're not going to have a very good galley. You're not going to have a very big staterooms or living areas on that boat. There are people that have done this boat in 20-foot sailboats, this trip in 20-foot sailboats. There are people doing it on jet skis, like I've said. So it's doable. It's what you want to experience out of it. Um, I am also looking at a trawler type of a boat or a semi-displacement cruising boat that can handle it also. But that's what I'm looking at right now. Just thought I'd put this one out there, give you folks some other uh, YouTube channels you can take a look at and get some actual figures from people doing the loop right now. Um, and you can find some other information out there as you go. Hope you have a good day. Bye now.